Hi everyone, it's Andy from Hobby Headquarters, and today we're going to start building the 1/35 scale Trumpeter German armored train. This is a really large kit and it's got a lot of parts to it, so let's get started on it. This is the way the instructions originally wanted you to do the kit. They wanted you to build each set of wheels for the trucks with the side hubs already attached to it. After I built one, as you can see right here, I did some dry fitting on the sides of the lower hull of the chassis, and I noticed that the hubs were real hard to get to stay straight on both sides when you built the wheels as one piece. So I decided to take that one apart, and as you can see right here, I actually glue the hubs right into place, and then we'll attach the wheels separately. Another little problem I had is the wheel axles have a hexagonal shape cut into the ends of it, and that is so that they fit inside of the side wheel hubs. But no matter how I did it and rearrange this every time, the hexagonal shape made one part of the side want to flare up higher than the others. You can see in this little area. I finally just went and rounded over the hexagonal shapes because no matter how I tried it, I could not get it to work without sanding those pieces off. I went and attached the brakes and some of the under mechanisms into this piece before. It's kind of hard to film because you had to kind of use both hands to get the parts in, but once you did, they snapped in pretty easily. And then the whole base, as you can see, snaps right into the other part. Okay, I went and firmly glued down the entire base, which takes a little bit of pressure on it because of all the different angles right here. They don't want to always fit exactly perfect, but once you put a little pressure on it, it'll go on nicely. And then the last other piece we have to put on is just a little blast bag that will glue that into place and line it all up. Now that we've gone ahead and let's kind of zoom out here a little bit, you can see how large this vehicle is turning out to be. I kind of just set it up to show you. Now that you've done that first part, you want to go ahead and make the second one, which I've already started doing, and give you an idea what it's going to start to look like. For size wise, here's a bottle of glue for scale. So I'm going to finish up the other side over there, and then we'll move on to the main body. Okay, I want to point out a few things while you're assembling this portion of the undercarriage that if you follow their instructions that you might have a little bit of difficulty with. First thing is the arms right here. I did glue the other side of the pin on, but I did not glue any of these parts together. And you also have to, at least I had to hollow out these two ends because they were really tight, and you need them to be slightly loose so that you can adjust it. Same thing goes when I put on these pieces right here. These, now they're not actually attached yet, but you have to quite a bit sand this piece down, because if you try forcing it on, you're going to end up breaking it. So when this piece is in place, you can actually use this to adjust the other side, because they have to be at a weird angle to each other. So once that gets on, do not glue the wheels in place. You're going to lay them all down here, and I'll show you how this is going to work for it. And then you're going to carefully put this on. And this is why you don't want to glue anything, because they all have to be an exact amount of distance apart. Making it a little bit difficult here. And then the final one, you have to slightly twist all the wheels to get them to slightly come back. Oops. And then when you get and see how the angle has to, each one of the pins would have to be exactly perfect, and this way you're for sure going to get them all to line up. So now that this is all done, you can go back and start gluing all these parts together. I'm not quite sure why they give you a separate part for this insert when it could have just been molded all as one piece, but they did. So we want to make sure that gets in there nice and flat and tight. And then we also want to make sure this is glued down really well. So we're going to put glue in through here and then run a bead down all around the inside edge right there. So I'm going to go ahead and do that, and we'll go on to the next step. And one other thing I did, none of this is glued on right now, is that I went and put all the pieces on a piece of track to make sure the wheels all line up properly, and we also have the right distance between everything, and everything looks really good. And wow, is this a big piece. One other little situation that I ran into is this piece right here. I haven't glued it on yet, but this piece did not want to sit in here very well. In fact, I had to end up shaving quite a bit of this edge off, and as well as the inside edge, to get it to fit down. So now that we'll put some liquid cement on and hold it in place, and that should hold it in there pretty well. Okay, one of the last steps we have to do on this kit is, you can see there's quite a few of these little rings, and they are designed to be put into these little holders in here. Fortunately, they made them out of photo etch, so it's going to be quite a bit of work cutting off and then gluing with the photo etch, which kind of show you a little bit what we're talking about here. Now there are holes already drilled in it, but there's probably about 150 of those little hooks that we have to put over the entire vehicle. So this is going to take me a little while, and I won't put it all on film because it'd be kind of boring, but I'm going to go ahead and do that part right now. Okay, I just spent the last like 4 hours putting on all those little hooks, and now we're going to go ahead and spray the entire model with XF69, our shadow coat. We're also going to see how many of those little hooks I can knock off while I'm trying to paint this. So let's get started on that. Okay, this next step is going to be kind of important because this is such a big piece and it's going to be all basically gray once we're done. We're going to use the white coat underneath to fill in a lot of the highlighted areas of big panels. Once I get the entire thing done, I will show you an in-depth look of what it's going to look like. Okay, I've gone ahead and I finished off doing the white, and I just kind of did it in a random pattern. And what this is going to do is once we spray the German gray on top of it, it'll give us a nice mottled effect, and it'll show like some fading of individual panels where paint may have been a little bit lighter than in some areas. And then leaving some of the darker areas in there, it'll create shadows as we go forward. So let's go ahead and put the the first coat of the German gray on. Okay, we have our XF22 ready to go, which is the German gray, and I put my cap on top since we have so much paint in here we don't want to spill it on anything. So let's go ahead and put a nice light coat on it. Not so heavy as that we're going to blend all this together. We want to be able to see the different highlights and shadow effect on it. Okay, I've gone ahead and let the paint completely dry after we did the entire model, and then I took it outside and I sprayed it with a coat of dull coat, which is by Testors. It's 1260, or to me TS80, and that's just going to seal in all this paint. So for our next step, when we start doing some of the weathering on it, it won't touch the paint underneath. So the first step we'll probably go ahead and do is start doing some of the chipping on some of the areas around the top edges, around the stairs, ladders, things like that. So let's go ahead and start to that. Okay, I mixed up some NATO brown and some NATO black, and just using a real fine brush, we're going to start to go ahead to add some of the minor chips on here. Now I'm going to go over and do it all over the place, but I'm trying to show you where you'll start finding some of the chips. Anywhere where people would be walking, standing, edges, things like that. So I'm going to go over, because I'm going to get in there really close and the camera's kind of in the way, and I'm going to go ahead and finish up chipping it. I've done all the chipping through all the different areas that I want. Now we're going to take some Vallejo model wash, the desert dust, put a couple drops in there. Okay, now that we put all the chipping on, we're going to take some Vallejo wash, the desert dust. We're going to use that as our fixer. put a couple drops in there. And I like the light sienna as a mixture in it. Give it a kind of a slurry of a mud. And we're gonna lightly just go over the bottom, and not in mud, like a dusty dirt, but with the wash, it helps hold it on a little bit. So we're gonna put it on all around this area and through here. And the nice part about this is if you put it on too thick and you don't like the way it is, once it fully dries, it'll dry flat, and then you can go back over it with a drier brush and knock off any of the excess that you don't like on it. So we're going to go over and do this whole edge, and then I'll show you what it looks like once it dries. Okay, that's started to dry pretty well, and I've been going over it slightly with a softer, wider brush to kind of knock off any of the excess, just so we have the tone like that dirt and stuff is starting to build up on the lower areas. And I'll keep going over the entire vehicle, mainly the lower part of the vehicle this way. Well, there it is. It's complete. I did do one other last thing I did. I took the original color before we had dull coated it, and I lightly mist it over the entire bottom, and it slightly lightens the paint because the dull coat will darken it. So we're putting like a second layer, but real light mist. Hopefully you can see it. In person you can. It sticks out pretty well. The kit has quite a few parts and a lot of photo etch with all those little rings. So this is not something that I would recommend for anyone who's just starting out in modeling, because it is a lot of work. I've actually been working on it for many days now. That's one of the reasons why I haven't had a video out in a while. But once you are done with it, it is quite the impressive kit. Over 2 feet long, and is going to look really good on our diorama. So I appreciate you watching as usual, and stay tuned because I have more models coming. Thanks. Wanted to give you guys one more quick look. I went and set up everything all together to see how the shape of the diorama is going to start to come together. And this is preliminary right now, but I do plan on having the 3 tracks. Obviously I haven't started building or even painting all the tracks, but we'll get to that as time goes on. Started building some of the towers and some of the other buildings. This still might be a platform over here. I'm not quite sure yet. Probably the next thing I'm going to start to do is, since I have so much track to build, I'm going to build the rest of the track, because the armored train actually came with a large piece of it that I'll build all the track and then paint it all at once, and maybe do a little quick video for you guys to show you how to do the weathering and painting to make it look like wood and metal. So I appreciate you watching. Thanks again.